I'm like really torn because I don't want to be like, what the is this? But I also am like, what the is this?
Danielle is a very interesting human being, special breed of a human being. So she's someone that's been to the Dominican Republic, okay? And when she went there, that's when she met Johan. Now, of course, for the most part, they spent time in a fancy place. Well, not fancy, but my apologies, in a well-kept place, right? So, but at the same time, though, she did obviously see his family. She saw how they were living, but still wanted to come back to Dominican Republic to be with her partner. All right, cool, makes sense. But why is it that she is so surprised and so taken back by Johan's business? Because right now she discussed the fact that, well, the meat is on the table. The meat is not in the refrigerator, as you say. And the meat in her eyes isn't cold. You know, I can tell you this now for sure. When you meet someone's culture that you've never been around before, the first thing that should be in your head is to be very, very open-minded and to be willing to learn how comes things are the way they are, rather than tell someone that this isn't how it should be. Because there's a fine line between telling someone that this shouldn't be happening to asking someone, why is this happening? And then having your opinion. Giving your opinion first, I mean, to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, it just shows a certain level of ignorance, arrogance, arrogance.
That can't be good.
So little things like this, the fact that she's so judgmental. I mean, here's the thing, the first things first, she says this can't be good, which may be true, give or take, right? But has she asked him, why is the meat outside? No. I mean, look at it this way. Johan is someone that has been trying to leave the country to get to the States so he can make, you know, more money and he can live that American dream. So he can also send that money back home. So for someone like Johan to be able to create a business of his own, it doesn't matter whether the business is doing crazy well or if he's doing just all right, or if he's not doing anything at all. It's the fact that he has made the step of actually opening up a business of his own, something that I can't imagine is that easy. And when I say that easy, I don't mean necessarily in the Dominican Republic. I'm just talking about just generally speaking. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, to open up a business, that is not something that is very easy. And that is not something that is easily motivation to do. Like for me, like, do you think I got that motivation to open up a business? I really don't. I mean, I say all the time, I'm gonna open this up, and then I don't, because boy, I'm like, I don't like paperwork, I don't like numbers, I don't like anything that's just admin. I don't have that motivation. He has that. And the first thing that she wants to do is pretty much be negative to her partner's business without even giving it a chance. Ladies and gentlemen.
Hay mosca por la carne.
En mi país no hay.
Estoy hablando aquí, no en tu país. Oye, aquí, no estamos en tu país.
And that's it. But we're not in your country. I mean, listen, she's having a big fuss about how one, the meat is on the table, it is not in the refrigerator, and also how there are so many bugs, flies all over the meat. Will people actually want to buy this? He is obviously explaining to her, listen, every butcher here does exactly the same thing, okay? And of course, she's like, but in my country, but Johan made it abundantly clear. He was correct to say what he said. But we're not in your country, though. Just because you have it a certain way in America, because maybe you can afford to have electricity that can power a refrigerator all the time or a freezer or whatever it could be, it doesn't mean that I have that luxury right here. Just because you see people have the money to be able to fund certain things, it doesn't mean that I have the money to fund it myself. You know that I've just started my business. You know I'm on the road of trying to do something better with, but at the same time, though, you also know that I wanted to go to America so I can send money back so my business could thrive as well. But guess what, though? We're not going to America right now, not because the visa isn't here, but because you just don't want to go to America and therefore you delay the visa. Obviously, that part he doesn't know for sure, if you dig what I'm saying. But it is good what is happening here because Johan is showing Danielle the reality of what it's like to live in the Dominican Republic, because in her eyes, she keeps expressing that it is too expensive to live in New York, which, well, we know what the real problem is. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. The real reason why Danielle does not want to, go back to America. That's the title of the video. But either way, though, at the same time, she keeps trying to explain to him that it's better for them to live in the Republic, but he's trying to explain to her, but hold on a minute, it's actually better if we live in New York. Now, the only problem that we had there was that both of them have been unable to really live each other's lives in each location to know which location is the best. Now Danielle is now in that position where she can now finally learn what it's like to live in the Dominican Republic, how some businesses are going to be run, how they're going to be presented in a certain way, and how they are just not going to be the same as America or as professional as America, if you dig what I'm saying. And to be honest with you, like I said before, it is very annoying, very jarring that she's taking this approach without even having an open mind that things aren't going to be the same. Which is why Yohan was so good by saying that we are not in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are going to date outside of your culture, date outside of your norm, please be prepared for surprises that you never thought you'd see. You know what I'm saying? Don't just think everywhere is the same. But the matter of fact is, I will say this 100% no. Just because where he lives, they don't have the luxury of being able to keep the meat in refrigerators and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean that America is necessarily a better country than the Dominican Republic, because I feel like there is this stigma in this world that some countries are better than others, when in reality, each country offers great things. Let me give you an example. Obviously, me, myself in particular, I live in the UK, right? But I've been to other countries within Europe, obviously, we're Brexit now, whatever. But I tell you this now, even though the UK is seen as the first world country and the one that is like the Don Dada of Europe, you know what I mean? The funny part about it is that England is actually the least cleanest than it is compared to other countries that I've been to, such as Italy, you know what I mean? Or certain parts of Spain like Malaga, Magala, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Because I tell you this now, I've seen streets that are clean in areas, in countries, cities that are considered less than London. So just process that judgment is not a good thing. Have an open mind when you go to another country, always the key. You can see the beauty of what that country brings and maybe your country doesn't bring. But listen, we continue.
Su expresión como de asco, no esperaba eso.
I mean, listen, I don't blame Yohan for being disgusted to the slightest. I don't blame him for being disappointed, because this is not how you this is not how you expect your partner to react. The partner that was telling you that, hey, I want to live in Dominican Republic, I want to move here. This is the place that I want to call home. But then at the first sight of you seeing my business that I've just started, something that I want you to be proud of, and something that I want you to support me of, that you shame me? You shame my business? It's crazy because, you know, we live in a world where everybody, and I mean everybody, believes that Americans are stuck up their own asses, because there's a majority of Americans that don't leave the country and think that each state is a country, and believe that the only place that you need to be in is America, because America has everything to offer, all that kind of mumbo jumbo. And you know the crazy thing is, even if that was even nearly enough true, you don't know anything until you've seen the world. I think it's very key for people to actually travel. It's very key for people to come out of their comfort zone, you know what I mean? And to see how people are living elsewhere, because that's something that's going to build a very good knowledge in your head. And it's also going to allow you to appreciate things that you do have, but also at the same time, even motivate you to maybe even want to leave where you live now and actually live over there, because you may think that the vibe in that location, whether that be another country or whatever, may actually be better than the vibe where you are. You know, the crazy thing about lockdown, when COVID was here, you know, lockdown was a very miserable time for a lot of people. But I tell you one thing that it did do great for some people, it forced a lot of American influencers to travel to Dubai and travel to other places, right? And because of those travels and then going to Dubai and then going to Bali and whatnot, they were able to see that the world is so beautiful outside of America, and they were able to come back in a different mindset. See the power of leaving your country, the power of traveling, the power of being open to the fact that just because you're told or exposed to the fact that other parts of the world are less than you, it doesn't mean that they are actually less. But anyway, I'll let you process that one however you want to see it. But let's continue.
Que ella me iba a apoyar, que me decía, mi amor, estoy orgulloso, me siento bien por tu logro. Y no, fue todo lo contrario.
I mean, listen, man, you can only feel for Yohan in this situation itself in particular, because the way she's handled it has not been appropriate to the slightest. And it's important that we break this down every single step of the way, because if we don't, then some of us won't realize how deep this is. How deep this is. This is a very deep thing, because this is a very common thing for people to enter someone else's culture, someone else's country, someone else's life, and then give them a reaction that they really did not want at all. And people don't understand how much that reaction can really cut deep into some people. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's important to identify every single part of this. But don't get me wrong though, I don't want people to think that I've got an agenda against Americans. I don't. It's just that Danielle is an American. Of course, I have to use it as an example to how some Americans can obviously think based on what society has told them in their own country. Because at the same time, of course, there are people in the UK who are exactly the same as that as well. And those people, I look at them and I say to myself, you should be ashamed of yourself. Like, bro, you have no idea what it's like. Like, you have no idea what it's like to leave your country and go elsewhere and see how beautiful the world is and how humble it can make you. The most key thing in life, though, honestly, is to be humble. A lot of people lack that. But anyway, let's see what else.
¿Por qué yo estoy enferma cuando come carne aquí? Porque tiene bacteria.
No tiene bacteria la carne.
Porque cuando no está fría.
You know, Yoan then proceeds to get Danielle's hand and for her to touch the meat to prove that it was cold. Her reaction was just disgusting. I don't want to touch it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to be honest with you, despite the fact that I'm not a fan of her reaction is absolutely disgusting. I'm happy though that she's now going through these experiences because she can now open up her mind to seeing that just because she wants to leave America, it doesn't mean that the Dominican Republic is going to be the place for her. Because at the end of the day, a location is only good for you only if you're open to the experiences that location is going to give you. If you're going to be stubborn and rude and disrespectful to the experience that location is going to give to you, then clearly that location isn't going to be for you. The question is though, over the time that they are obviously there in the Dominican Republic, this is when we're really going to find out, is this the location that Danielle really wants to stay in? Because really and truly right now it's looking like it's not going to happen. But either way though, we shall wait and see what happens obviously moving forward. But hey, you guys let me know what you're thinking down below in the comment section and we'll most certainly talk about it. Hey man, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you now, come out of your comfort area and move and travel the world. Or at least travel to another state if you can't afford to travel. Did you know what, saying that though? Listen, you know what though? Some prices of people to fly from one state to another is actually more expensive than someone to fly from a state to another country. And that's what I've heard though. I'm not saying it's a fact. I'm just saying I heard that. So if that's true, let's just process that. You know what I mean? But at the same time though, you can't always easily drive different areas. All I know is that not everybody has the luxury to be able to actually country. So maybe if you drive to a different state, you know, have a different. Actually, no, forget that, man. Listen, rob a bank, rob something, and leave your country, man. I don't care where you are in the world right now. Travel, ladies and gentlemen, okay? But travel with an open mind. Anyway, we're done now, and peace.